What if the most powerful person in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove it? No shouting, no domination, no constant display of force. Just presence, just control, just influence. That is the essence of Shanks in One Piece. Because Shanks doesn't lead through fear. He leads through something far more rare: calm authority. And in a world full of chaos, ego, and power struggles, that kind of leadership is not just different, it's dangerous. From the very first time we see Shanks, there's something unusual about him. He's not obsessed with proving strength. He's not chasing validation. In fact, he laughs easily, drinks with his crew, and avoids unnecessary conflict. At first glance, he almost seems too relaxed for someone of his status. But that's exactly what makes him powerful. Because true power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to dominate every situation. It chooses when to act, and more importantly, when not to. One of the most defining moments that reveals Shanks' leadership style is his encounter with the bandits early in the story. When he is insulted, disrespected, and even humiliated, he doesn't react with anger. He doesn't try to assert dominance. He allows it. And to most people, that looks like weakness, because we've been conditioned to believe that strength must respond immediately, that respect must be enforced. But Shanks understands something deeper. Reactivity is not power. Control is. Because the moment you are controlled by your emotions, you are no longer in control of the situation. Shanks doesn't ignore disrespect because he is weak. He ignores it because he is disciplined. He understands that not every battle is worth fighting, that sometimes the greatest display of strength is restraint. But here's where it gets interesting. When the situation crosses a line, when real harm is introduced, Shanks doesn't hesitate. The same man who laughed off insults becomes decisive, precise, and overwhelming. And that contrast is what defines true leadership. It's not about being passive, it's about being selective, knowing exactly when to hold back and when to act with full force. This balance between calm and power is what creates Shanks' influence. Because people don't follow him out of fear. They follow him out of respect. His crew is loyal, not because they are forced to be, but because they trust him. And trust is something that cannot be commanded. It must be earned through consistency, through character, through the ability to remain grounded, even when everything around you is unstable. Shanks' presence alone is enough to shift entire situations. During the Marineford War, one of the most chaotic and destructive conflicts in the world of One Piece, something extraordinary happens. The moment Shanks arrives, the energy changes. The fighting stops, not because he threatens everyone, but because everyone understands what his presence represents. Stability, authority, balance. This is influence at its highest level, not forcing outcomes, but shaping them, not controlling people, but guiding the direction of events. And that kind of influence comes from internal alignment. Shanks knows who he is. He is not trying to prove himself, not trying to compete for validation. And because of that, he moves differently. He speaks less, but his words carry weight. He acts less, but his actions have impact. There's also a deeper psychological principle at play here. People are drawn to certainty. In a world full of unpredictable individuals, someone who remains calm, consistent, and composed becomes a point of stability. And stability creates trust. When people trust you, they listen. When they listen, you gain influence. And when you have influence, you no longer need to force anything. Shanks also understands the importance of emotional intelligence. He reads situations, understands people, and responds in a way that maintains balance, rather than escalating conflict unnecessarily. This is a level of awareness that goes beyond physical strength. It's the ability to navigate human dynamics, to manage energy, to de-escalate when needed, and assert dominance only when necessary. And this is what separates leaders from rulers. Rulers rely on control. Leaders rely on influence. Rulers demand obedience. Shanks doesn't need to impose his will on others, because his presence alone aligns people. His calmness is not passive, it's intentional, it's controlled, it's powerful. Another important aspect of Shanks' leadership is his ability to let others grow. He doesn't overshadow his crew. He doesn't need to be the center of attention. He creates an environment where others can develop, where they can step into their own strength. And this is one of the most overlooked traits of great leadership: the ability to empower others without feeling threatened by their growth. Because insecure leaders compete with the people they lead. Secure leaders elevate them. Shanks' influence on Monkey D. Louis Fee is a perfect example of this. He doesn't train Louis Fee directly. He doesn't impose a path on him. Instead, he inspires him. He plants a vision, a belief, and then allows Luffy to walk his own journey. That is mentorship at its highest level, not control, but guidance. And perhaps the most powerful aspect of Shanks' character is his understanding of timing. He doesn't act impulsively. He doesn't react emotionally. He waits. He observes. And when he moves, it matters. Because timing can turn an average action into a defining moment. And Shanks consistently demonstrates this level of precision. In a world where everyone is trying to be louder, stronger, more dominant, Shanks represents a different kind of power. A quieter, more controlled, more intentional form of strength. The kind that doesn't need constant validation. The kind that speaks through presence rather than noise. And this is what makes his leadership so effective. Because at the end of the day, people don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the most grounded one. The one who remains steady when things fall apart. The one who doesn't panic, doesn't overreact, doesn't lose control. Shanks teaches a powerful lesson. Force is not the highest form of power, and influence is built through character, through consistency, through the ability to master yourself before trying to lead others. Because if you can control your emotions, your reactions, your impulses, you can control your environment without ever needing to force it. And that is the true meaning of calm leadership. Not the absence of strength, but the mastery of it.